Yep, so I'm recording now. So good morning, everybody. Great to have you here again. And this is our 17th session. And today we're going to start with our sprint review. So I'm just going to bring up this slide. Deji and Sylvia, are you ready for us?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
cool.
yeah.
Cool. So I'm going to new share. I'm going to share the slides. Put it in presentation mode. Cool. So if you're ready for us, please fire away. This is our second sprint review. Wonderful.
Okay. Well, good morning, everybody. We're here for Sprint Review 2. So welcome to the Sprint Review of the London Bridge University LBU Digital Transformation Project. Our goal is to achieve a digital presence in an increased admission rate by 8% annually. And this is just contributing to the overall project. The team is Phoenix. Our project manager is Grace Shaba. Our Scrum Master is Nudi Abili. And this is Sprint 2. Today is the 29th, I think. Sprint was ended yesterday and we're doing the review today. So the goal of Sprint 2 is to create a page where anyone visiting the website can learn some key points about the university so that they can decide whether they want to learn more. And the stories are to be a part of the landing page, to be accessible without login. It has to be positively portray the university as a desirable place to study. It's showing the strength and the history of the university. Is giving us the vision statement of the university, is also giving us the community involvement in charity work and research of the university. And then last but not the least, but the university contact details. Sprint 2, we worked on the epic About Us. Okay, we had 21 stories within About Us, and that gave us 45 story points. Yes, we were able to deliver as approved by the product owner. And we were committed to 26 stories. We delivered 26 stories of 55 points. We missed 5 stories. We missed 5 stories, which yielded 10 story points. Okay, so our velocity in this sprint, you can say that it's 45 because we're able to deliver 45 story points out of the 55 that we committed to.
Sylvia, we can't hear you anymore. Sylvia? We've lost her.
You're muted.
Apologies. My internet bounced. So let me get back to where we were. First of all, let me be sure it's still recording. It is still recording.
I think it is, yeah.
Yes, it is still recording. So
yeah.
I just need to go back to this slide, share my screen, go back to the slide. Okay, so I believe, Sylvia, you were about to start the demo, or is it Deji that is doing the demo? Who's doing the demo?
Yeah, so I've introduced Deji.
Okay.
Deji's on now to start the demo.
Okay.
So, okay, we're back. So, morning all. This is Sprint Review 2. Mary, can I have slide 6, the landing page, please? Okay, so on the landing page, we have a button or a link to About Us, which takes you to the About Us page. Mary, can I have the next slide? Okay, so this takes you to the next page. Once you click the About Us button, it brings you back to this page, which displays everything about us with the requirements from the product owner, which portrays the university as a desirable place to study. As you can see on the left, we have links to how the university works, faculties and school, history, research, alumni, and contact us. On the right-hand side, we have the strength of the university. Next slide, please, Mary. Okay, so this shows the university's corporate plan, which includes the vision statement. And we've also added the mission statement and the aim of the university. Next slide, please. So this tells us about the history of the university, and at the top you can see a link to photo gallery, which will show you how the university looked when it first started. Next slide, please. And this takes you to alumni, which is the last page on our slide. And then we also have contact us, which has all the contact details of the university. So on this note, I would end the preview. Any questions?
Fantastic review right there. Thank you very much to Deji and Sylvia. So at this point, Deji is asking if we have any questions. So Deji, in reality, will be one of the developers, okay? Deji and Sylvia, they were both developers in this instance. It may well be that we have more than 2 people doing the demo. It may be that we've nominated 1 person each time to do the demo. It depends on the context of that team, okay? So if you have different people doing the demos, obviously you want to make sure your slides are in some kind of logical order so that the stakeholders can follow. Now, they just asked us, do we have any questions? Now, there will be stakeholders at your review. They will have questions. There's a very high chance that they will have questions. And when they do ask questions, anybody can answer that question, not just the product owner. Anybody can answer that question. Remember, you are the ones that have developed this product. So there's a very high chance that they will need you to answer a whole lot of questions. So the development team needs to be prepared for that, okay? Now, as a Scrum Master, the Scrum Master would have ensured, like we said before, that this meeting is planned. It's in everybody's schedule. We've, gotten a room if this were a physical scenario. And if it is online, like we are doing right now, we just want to make sure that everybody gets, a good experience by making sure our files are open. Whatever it is you want to show, they're open. Of course, technology may always disappoint us, that we have no control over, but the things that we do have control over, we must make sure we do them properly. So the Scrum Master would have made sure, everything is fine and we are ready to kick off. Okay. The product owner is the owner of this show, is the owner of this sprint review, as in is the one running the show, but the Scrum Master is there helping to make sure everything works fine. Remember, as a Scrum Master, you are a facilitator. Now, the product owner is the one that accepts the story. So Grace, it seems like we don't have any questions, or is there anyone who wants to ask any question with regards to the presentation? Any questions at all? So if we don't have any questions, or maybe we've asked some questions and they have been answered, it is now the product owner that says these stories are accepted, okay? Because remember, the product owner is the one that either accepts or rejects a story, okay? So product owner, accept or reject?
Accept.
Hey, let's give ourselves a round of applause. So we are moving on to sprint 3. So before we do sprint 3, what are we supposed to do? Before we begin to even think about sprint 3, what do we do now?
Retrospective.
Fantastic. So let me come out of here. We're going to do a retro. And who wants to facilitate that? Ndudi, I think you should. You are the Scrum Master. So let me get out of here. Let me put up a slide here. Put in a table there. Number of columns 3. Number of rows, just a few will do. Okay, so something we should stop doing, start doing. I don't mind typing actions. Okay, so retro, quick retro. What should we stop doing?
So can you put retro here, Mary?
I think we should we start with what we did well? Okay, no need for that.
Okay, let me put done well.
Done well.
Challenge. Huh?
Yes.
Okay. It's amazing how the words matter also, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, oops.
Okay.
And Lenge, challenge, yeah. Did I spell that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so go ahead and I'll type.
Okay, so what did we do well, team? Okay. Development, anybody?
Working software, I would say.
What did we do well?
Did you say, did I hear delivered on time?
Delivered working software.
We didn't complete.
Yeah, but the product owner accepted what we did.
Accepted, okay.
So delivered quality. Yeah?
Value.
Okay, delivered value, that's it. Thank you. You're a real product owner now, Madam Grace. Look at you talking value. Delivered value, okay. Challenge.
Collaboration. Oh, challenge. Okay.
Collaboration. Okay. Yeah,
I thought we were still on that. Yeah, collaboration was top notch.
Okay, collaboration could have been better. Is that what you are saying?
No, I said collaboration was top notch.
Okay, top notch. Okay, great collaboration. Okay. Oops.
Okay.
Great collaboration. There are some challenges, though. Some people are having challenges. I mean, if we look at it in our context, someone like Donald is having some challenges with his devices. So device challenge for Donald. Let me put that there. Oops, that shouldn't be there.
Challenge. Yeah.
Device challenge.
So this is
Donald. Yeah. Okay. So what else in terms of what was done well?
What was done well?
Under the challenges, I think we had technology issues where you went off.
But that wasn't during the sprint.
Yeah.
That wasn't during the sprint. Okay.
Done well. Under done well, I think the sprint review was good. We're not supposed to put that.
Okay. Fair enough.
Well.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Great sprint review. Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, what else? When it comes to challenge, don't you think, I would say, need for more collaboration when people are stuck, because some people were not completing their stories. Okay. Better, I would say better communication.
Yes.
On uncompleted stories, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. So to communicate more, ask for help if you need help, whatever, things like that. Okay. What else?
One thing I want to put on the challenge is that also because of the time difference.
Thank you.
You guys seem to be quick to close this thing.
Okay.
We're looking at it, and by the time I'm ready to do it, I'm there, and you know, someone has gone there to move my story. So time difference also is a challenge.
Time zone challenge. Very good. I'm happy you brought this up. I'm happy you brought this up because at the end of the day, in reality, you will have these challenges, okay? And for example, when I was speccing out when I was specking out the requirement for this company in Arizona, they have a developer in India. They are going to have 4 developers in Nigeria, and then the ones that are in Arizona. One of the major things we needed to discuss was when we could meet, because this whole beautiful idea of working distributed is cool. But yes, but the time zone thing comes into play, and it becomes a high item on your agenda when you're in a meeting to say, okay, when will be a good time for us to meet, so that we share the inconvenience. I mean, someone like Dele right now, it's about 3 a.m. for her. So to be honest with you, I'm thinking now that my next batch of students, I'm going to try and see how that does not happen again. Do you see where I'm coming from? Because I thought about it and I'm like, yes, it's a commitment, it's a sacrifice, but what can we do to make sure that students are not logging in at 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. or whatever the case may be? So for my next batch of students, I'm going to play around with the time with, you know, whoever I have involved in my session to make sure that does not happen. Because this is an environment where you have to consider everything and continuously improve, essentially. So yeah, that should be the case. So time zone, we need to consider that. So for the time zone, what do we do about it, Dele? What do we do about it? How do we meet you halfway? I mean, aside from this actual
Yeah,
session.
I mean, we shouldn't, the deadline for something should probably be moved to like either morning for me or midday.
What is 5 o'clock for us here for you, or 6 p.m. on the day the sprint closes, essentially?
Oh, that's true. That's very good. That's 12-1.
Okay, so move sprint completion, yeah?
Yes. Mm-hmm. That will give me time to actually look at it in the morning.
Okay, to 6 p.m. or something like that, because it's not as if anything
it could be 5 p.m.
Okay, 5 p.m.
No,
okay.
yeah.
Okay, 5 p.m. UK time, essentially, which then makes it 12 o'clock for you or something like that, right?
Yes, which means in noon.
Fantastic. That's one action already dealt with straight away, okay? Now, talking about better communication on uncompleted stories, I believe that goes for everybody, yeah?
Yes, yes.
Device challenge, we'll see what we can do for Donald, but that is action for Donald to take, something like that, yeah? Donald, N-A-L-D, yeah? Are we getting the flow of this?
Yes.
Are we getting the flow of this? This is our second cycle now. So now we are disbanded. We've done, this is a Friday. This will ideally be a Friday or a Thursday in your organization, not a Saturday morning. So we've done our review. The stakeholders are happy. The product owner has accepted the stories. But there was something else we didn't pay attention to. Ideally, you will have to pay attention to. Now, let me go back a few steps, which is here. There were some stories that were not completed, right? Now, when I completed the sprint, I think I pasted it in the group. The tool will ask me, what do I want to do with all these stories that are not completed? It gives me 2 options. I always take it back to the backlog option. Okay? So these stories are back in the backlog. Now, what happens to this story is totally dependent on what is going on. It is not automatic, like I said before, that just because we did not finish these stories, just because these stories have gone back to the backlog, that it becomes priority for our next sprint automatically. No, it may be a priority, it may not be. Okay? It all depends on what the product owner wants based on what the stakeholders want. Something else may become priority next sprint, not necessarily this one. But you may also have a situation where the things that we did not finish in sprint 2 now becomes a priority in sprint 3. But I don't want you to take it as a given, especially if this comes up in your interview, to say, does everything that is uncompleted in one sprint automatically becomes a priority in the next sprint? Maybe, it depends. Do you get it? It depends. Something else may come up and take over. And that is the whole point. So I believe that is it for us for sprint.
Excuse me,
2.
I have a
Yes,
question.
please. Go ahead, please.
Okay, there are some situations where the story, the tasks in the story, maybe some tasks were completed and some tasks were not completed. In that scenario, I know in Raleigh, it will split the story, and the task that was not completed will go back to the product backlog, while the task that was completed can then maybe be accepted by the product owner.
Yes, I'm sharing my, I'm sharing my screen now. Can you see the tool?
No, not yet.
Okay, let me reshare. Let me stop share, then reshare. Where's the tool? There you go. Okay, so this is our sprint that we completed. This is our sprint board. As you can see, if I scroll to the right, here we have all our tasks that were completed on the right-hand side. Can you see all of that? All the ones that were completed. Now, if I look at the columns where tasks were not completed, now look at this story, this Felicia story. It says 0% complete. Can you see that? 0. If I come down to, hold on. Normally it should say 100%. Okay, it's not showing 100%, but for the ones, when we were in sprint, oh, there you go. Can you see that? Ideally, it will say 100% story when all the tasks, when all the tasks in a story are completed, it will have 100% there, okay? You see this one here that is not completed, it says 72%, okay? Now, the question is, imagine I have 5 tasks within a story. I completed 3. I did not complete 2. The question should be, how do we size what is left of that story? So let us assume this story was a size 3 when we started with this story, okay? Now, the reason this story is a size 3 is because you have identified all the tasks that are associated with this story. And that was how we came up with sizing that story to be a 3. So if a story is a 3 and you have 5 tasks associated with that story, and we have now completed 3 tasks out of those 5 stories, leaving us with just 2 tasks. If you were to resize that story, it cannot be a 3 again, can it?
No.
So when you now take on this story at a future sprint, like I said, it could be the next sprint, it could be some other sprint. When you take on this story at a future sprint, you factor the fact that some work have been done already. So you now resize this story based on what is left. Otherwise, what will happen to your velocity? Otherwise, you will mess up your velocity. Because if you say this story is still a 3, you are wasting part of that capacity in your calculation, because this story is no longer a 3. It was a 3 when we did it, when we started working with it. It was a 3. But now we've done about 70% of the work or 60% of the work. It's no longer a 3. So you need to then ask yourself, okay, now that we are taking on this story again, based on what we have already done, what is the size of this story? Because it is still a story, but it is now an uncompleted story. You see what I mean? It is now an uncompleted story. So these are the things you need to take into factor. Henry, does that make it clearer for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, cool. So that is how that goes. Now, while I'm in this tool, let me show you a thing or two. Now, if you remember, we have the board here, this these 3 lines, and we have the retrospective. Let me show you what I figured out. One thing I found out was that, I could only use the templates for the retro before I close the sprint. I will take a picture. I think I took a picture of it actually. So if you look at the picture I posted, and that was why I took a picture of it, because I noticed this happened the last time. After I closed the sprint, I then tried to use the retro template, but found that I could not expand. For example, improvement, I found that I could not expand it, okay? I had to do the retro, I had to fill in the template before closing the sprint. So this is a bug, in my opinion, which I'm going to report to them, but I wanted to be sure I knew what I was saying. So if you go to view all, if I click on view all, you will see that I tried to type in something into improvement, into stop doing, continue, and action. So I can't do that now that I have stopped the sprint. I had to do it before I stopped the sprint, which I feel is not right. I should be able to do it after I have closed the sprint. So I'm going to report this to their technology team, to their technical team. So,
Okay.
so I was able to then, if I go back to the board, I was able, while the sprint was still on, just before I closed it, it gave me the total points here. It gave me the ones that were completed here, just like I posted in the chat. And I was able to click on a plus sign. So instead of this what I had was a plus sign. I had a plus sign in order for me to click it, come up with a, you know, those input form. So it came up like a form. And because it came up like a form, I was then able to type in what I wanted to type in there, what I wanted to improve, what I wanted to stop doing, and what I wanted to continue. So that is the case. But I think I need to report this because for me, you should be able to do it after you have closed the sprint. I hope that makes sense. I should be able to do it after. Okay. So now, I'm going to share some information on the slides, and then we're going to talk about our next sprint and then close for the day. So let me go to my PowerPoint slides and reshare my screen. Okay. So thank you very much, Deji and Sylvia, for doing that. That was a beautiful presentation. A lot of effort went into that. And we're good to go. So, okay, now, as you know, just to remind us, we are not doing our daily stand-up because obviously we are all distributed. We are not face-to-face, but we could have used WhatsApp. We can use any medium, you know, that enables us to do it, but we are just not bothering ourselves with it. But remember, every day, same time, same place. It doesn't even matter that you're distributed. We could, I mean, I could call everybody, say, let's do a 15 minutes daily stand-up, but I just don't see the need for it. We all get the gist of it. But in reality, you will have to do this, even if you're distributed. So maybe everybody is meeting on Zoom. Everybody is meeting on Zoom for 15 minutes every day, Monday to Friday, at a time that works for everybody. Dele just pointed out the fact that we need to take time zone into account. So for a distributed team, you would have had a discussion to find out a good time that works for everybody to have your daily stand-up, okay? So daily stand-up, Monday to Friday, every day, same place, same time. Now let us continue with the role of the Scrum Master, and then we'll talk about scaling. We started with the role of the Scrum Master. We talked about how the Scrum Master does not have the command and control approach. Rather, the Scrum Master is a facilitator who helps to enable others to achieve their objectives. Remember, you are there to help them become high performing. You are content neutral. You're not taking sides, okay? You support everyone to do their best thinking and, you know, contribute to the practice of Scrum. So it's about supporting everybody. It's not about taking sides with anybody. So as a Scrum Master, you really need to be an objective. You really need to have a very, very objective view to the way to the way you approach things, especially when there's a conflict. You really, really need to be objective and not take any sides. You are constantly promoting collaboration. Okay, and you're trying to help the team achieve synergy. So like I said before, one-to-one coaching is easy, but when you have to then help a team, that means you have to be great at observing. You really, really have to be great at observing, looking at, you know, how people are relating to each other. When something is going on, are they helping each other or are they working in silo? Because a lot of people are coming from that silo environment where this is what I'm supposed to do and that is it. So you need to correct that kind of behavior. And of course, you have to have charismatic authority. So you're there to influence. You're there to get them to become high performing, but you do it in a charismatic way, okay? I've talked about radical candor. I've talked about psychological safety. You really want to do this in a charismatic way that allows people to gravitate towards you. So when they have questions, they know that they can come to you because of your nature. It has a lot to do, you know, with our nature, you know, with our character, with how we come across. And again, of course, believing that, you know what, Agile brings out the best in people and you are evangelizing for Agile. So because you are evangelizing for Agile, because you are enthusiastic about Agile, you will find that you are constantly in that kind of space where, you know, you are just oozing the kind of behavior that makes people want to believe in what Agile is all about. You can't be promoting psychological safety and then the slightest thing, you've lost it. You can't be promoting psychological safety and then people are talking, you're not paying attention. You must give people your full attention when they're talking to you. If you're too busy, tell them to come back. As a Scrum Master, don't be talking on your computer while somebody is talking to you. By doing that, you're saying you're disturbing me. You may not be saying that, but that's what your actions are saying. So you see, there's a lot of demand in our character, in the way we come across as a Scrum Master. And this is one of the beauty of being a Scrum Master, of being an Agilist. It makes you think deep on how you come across. It makes you self-correct your own behavior. It makes you a better person in every way. It makes you a wholesome person. That is the way I say it. Because there's always room for improvement for everybody. No matter how old we are, there's always room for improvement for everybody. So these are some of the things I absolutely love about working as an Agilist. It really helps us to grow emotionally and socially. It helps us grow emotionally and socially. After all, we are social beings and we have to continuously interact. A Scrum Master should facilitate relationships and collaboration both within the team and the team's environment. The team I'm working with now, that I'm going to be working with from next week, it's a small team. It's a small development team of just about 9 people with the owner of the company. But sometimes it's a lot bigger. You could be working with a big organization where they have like 25 teams. This is the point when we start talking about, Scrum at scaling, where they have 25 teams, where they have, 1 or 2 layers of management. In which case, you might be called upon to educate people beyond the team, to educate the business segment, because after all, the development team is there to deliver on behalf of the business segment. So there will be times when you have to go beyond the team to educate the business segments on how they can better collaborate with the team. Okay, in terms of their demands coming in terms of how Agile works, how we use a backlog system, how we work in cycles of 2 weeks. So if we're working in cycle of 2 weeks, you're trying to educate them to respect that cycle, and get ready so that their work can come into our sprint backlog. Okay, so you are educating them so that they can work in tandem with the cycle with which we are working, and not just in terms of the practices, but also in terms of the behavior that is required in that environment. Radical candor, being nice, effective collaboration, respecting the Scrum practices, respecting the product owner, respecting how things are done in that environment, that you may be called upon to do that. Facilitate the Scrum process and the continuous improvement of the process, as well as continuously improving as an individual and as a team. So we are ensuring that we're using the Scrum process properly, because remember, that Scrum cycle is there to help us deliver quality incrementally. So as a team, we need to leverage that cycle. Okay, we need to leverage the practices. We are constantly communicating. The stakeholders are there during our sprint review. We are constantly engaging with the customers. We are working in an environment where there's radical candor, an environment where we can have difficult conversations and not take it personally, because the focus is on the task. The focus is on the quality of our deliverable. So I can challenge Deji. Deji can challenge me. I can challenge Sylvia. Sylvia can challenge me. And nobody takes it personally, because we have a team agreement. We have a team agreement. We all know what psychological safety means in this team. Okay? And because we have a shared understanding of what radical candor means in this team, nobody takes offense. When I challenge you directly, I care about what we deliver as a team, because we win together and we lose together, okay? Facilitate the integration of the Scrum team into the entire organization, okay? This is where we are now collaborating with other parts of the organization. This is where we're collaborating with other teams. This is where, as a Scrum Master, you are probably facilitating a Scrum of Scrum meeting to ensure there is alignment between all the teams. Alignment between all the teams, and that we are contributing to the higher objectives, the higher objective of the organization. And one of the ways, again, that we integrate is through what we call the QBR process, which is a quarterly business review, which I'm still going to cover. The quarterly business review, some people call it the quarterly business review. Some people call it Agile quarterly planning. You will find different names for it out there, but it's the organization planning that takes place every 3 months. Now, if you are in a safe environment, if you are employed as a Scrum Master in a safe environment, it is called PI planning. That is program increment planning, PI planning. That is what it is called. And it happens every 3 months. And as a Scrum Master, you have a huge role to play to ensure that the things we're going to work on, what is expected of the teams during this PI planning meeting is ready. Okay? It is ready. So let's move on. As a Scrum Master, you facilitate the Scrum events, which we're all aware of now, to be purposeful and effective. And it's not only the Scrum events you facilitate, it could be any other meeting. It could be a meeting of conflict. It could be anything. It could be that we are having issues with one department because of dependencies. Okay? We call a meeting to clear it out once and for all. Okay? Things like that can be any meeting. Facilitate the team in achieving their personal objectives. Yes. Now you have a team of 8, 9, 10 people. We have a team goal. We have a team objective. We are working towards the higher organizational vision. But as an individual, I also have my own goals. So as a Scrum Master, you need to be sensitive to that. And that is where the one-to-one relation coaching comes in. Because when people feel fulfilled as a team member, then they will contribute even more to the team, right? If my purpose is aligned to the purpose of the team, and the purpose of the team aligned to the purpose of the organization, I know what I bring to the table. I know that I'm, contributing tangibly and purposefully to the team and ultimately to the organization. And in doing that, it also aligns with my purpose. So you want to have a one-to-one coaching with team members. So when you come into a team as a new Scrum Master or delivery manager, sometimes it could be delivery manager, but you're also playing, they call it delivery manager, but it is 80% Scrum Master role. You are also doing that. So you come into a team, you want to really, really observe. I can't say that enough. Observation as a Scrum Master. In fact, if you can get another pair of eyes, you will need it. Observation, observation, observation. And asking a lot of questions. Okay, what is the higher objective of this organization? What is the team contributing to? Who are the key stakeholders? Extensive meeting with the product owner so that you know exactly how to support the product owner and what the goals of the product owner, what the goals are for the product owner, okay? Knowing whether the team has a team agreement, knowing whether they've done their market of skills, knowing how long they have been together, okay? How long have they been together? Tuckman team formation stage, forming, storming, norming, performing. Where are they in that journey? Are they forming? Have they just been put together? If they have just been put together, then they are in the forming stage. So if they have just been put, this is why it is important for you to know, so that you then know how to engage with them. Because if they are in the forming stage, then I'm going to be thinking differently about how I want to engage with them. That means I really need to get them together to understand each other, have a team agreement, know what skills they bring to the table, know how we want to work together, okay, to minimize the conflict at this stage. Okay, so, and I believe I have sent you a PowerPoint slide that tells you what you can do based on where you think the teams are at on this journey of team formation. Okay, so you facilitate visual management of artifacts, all the tools we're using. If you're in a physical office, make sure that there's a concept called Obeya room. Like when I was with ING, all they had was a plain room. I developed the Obeya room. I really laid it out properly so that it's easy to understand the information that is being radiated. So as a Scrum Master, you're responsible for that. So that could be, for example, making sure that all the information, for example, all our sprint review, making sure it is on SharePoint. If we are all working distributedly, naturally, we have to use the digital, we have to use digital tools. Making sure that if somebody wants a review of Sprint 3, they know where to go. Our sprint retrospective, all the information we gather during our sprint retro, making sure all those artifacts are properly kept somewhere and easily accessible. Now, for the sprint retrospective, don't forget, we are taking actions. You want to follow up on those actions. Okay, so quite frankly, when we started our retro today, what we should have done was to say, what were the actions from the last retro? That is the right thing to do. So we missed that part. So what were the actions from the last retro? Have we done those actions? Because you don't want actions to pile up and nobody is acting on them. Okay, so what action did we come up with the last time? Who owned them? So if I had an action that I needed to take, then one of the things that should have happened during this retro was for the Scrum Master to have said, can we talk about our actions from the last time? And then I step forward and I say, it was my action to do ABC. I have done it, or I haven't done it for whatever reason. That's number one. Number two, we could be coming up with items on the retro for our continuous development. So for example, one of the actions that may have come out could be, we need to start using the digital tool for estimation. Okay, and then it is my job, it is my action rather, to go and research that tool and then teach everybody how to use it. It could be something like that. It could be anything. So continuous learning and improvement is part of what we are looking for in this environment. So as a Scrum Master, you want to emphasize these kind of things. When they ask you questions and you see an opportunity to put in all these things, make sure you put it in there. One of the pillars of Agile, of Scrum, is continuous learning and improvement. So you are always looking for an opportunity for us to continuously learn and improve. Because remember, you're trying to develop, help develop a team that is high performing. It's not, Agile is not the end goal. The goal is to create a team that can continuously improve. Because remember, the environment is not stable. The environment is not stable. So the goal is to create a high-performing team that can continuously improve. Okay? So visual management is part of what you do as a Scrum Master. The burn down chart, the name of the team, like you saw in the review, you could tell that this team, the name of this team is Phoenix. You could tell this is Sprint 2. You know, things like that. In a physical environment, assuming this is where I am right now, this is where we're sitting. When you come into this space, some people would have like a whiteboard with all their epics on it, so you could tell which epic they were working on. Some even went as far as the stories and tasks. Some they will tell you, no, this is Sprint 2, and they will take a picture of their burn down chart. They'll take a picture of it, they'll print it out and stick it there. So any stakeholder walking by would see that, you know, things are progressing. Not that they can use it to come and be asking them any question or trying to do some command and control, but just to radiate those information so everybody knows where we're at. Now, there's a book by Lisa Atkins. I love this woman. I absolutely love her. I have actually physically met her. And the day I met her, I made sure I took a selfie with her. So that selfie is somewhere on LinkedIn. I call her the Agile Queen. She wrote this amazing book. Amazing, amazing, amazing book. So if you really, really, really are serious about Agile as a profession, get this book. It is called It's Coaching Agile Teams by Lisa Atkins. Okay, I love it. I absolutely love the book. So get it. Coaching Agile Teams is about maybe 20-something pounds if I remember. Coaching Agile Teams by Lisa Atkins. I'll recommend it any day, anytime. Now, characteristics of a great facilitator: designs and leads a meeting with responsibility to help the team reach its goals and objectives. Meetings. There will be a lot of that. So you want to make sure you are having, you know, efficient and effective meetings. Why are we meeting? So when you come into an organization, they are having meetings, question it to see whether, you know, there's an alternative to that meeting. We must meet intentionally. We must meet intentionally. Meet with intent. Okay? Meet with intent. So somebody is planning a meeting. Why? Why? Okay. There's a why for it. So if there's a why for it, we must have an agenda so that our meeting runs efficiently. We must have an agenda. So always think in terms of how can I help them facilitate a great meeting. Ask powerful questions, especially when you're coaching one-on-one or even coaching the team. Why? Why this? Why that? What can we do differently? What would success look like for you? Oh, there's a fly here. What would success look like for you? Okay, ask questions that can really help them to find the answers. Okay, Listen to understand instead of listening to act. Create a strong team instead of creating strong individuals. Now, I talked about being objective before, and this is a team environment. We're not looking for heroes here. We're not looking for sheroes. We're not looking for heroes. Excuse me, please. These flies are irritating me. I have opened the door, so hopefully it will find its way out. Okay, so as a Scrum Master, you are not looking to make anybody a hero or a shero. Not at all. This is a team environment, and that is why, even at the HR level, one of the things we are advocating for now is to see if this whole idea of performance management can be reviewed. Because one of the things they may ask you also at an interview could be, what is your view on individual performance management? You could be asked that question. What is your view on individual performance management? And my view on individual performance management is that it should be reviewed to ensure that it doesn't affect collaboration within the team. Because in other words, the HR people need to rethink how they do how they do individual performance management. Some organizations have scrapped it altogether. Some organizations that are really, really progressive, they have scrapped that individual performance management and now looking to team performance. Because this is what is going to happen. I'm working as a team member. You are telling me to collaborate. But there's one manager there somewhere that is now trying to measure me as an individual. Okay? So you can see it's like it's like a practice that is working at cross purpose. So Agile is advocating that they begin to rethink how that is done. Okay, they need to rethink how that is done, because what could then happen is that it affects my behavior as a team member. It affects my behavior because I'm thinking of my performance management, you see. But when we are appraised as a team, then again, it enhances my behavior as a full member of that team. Okay, so it's something, it's a dialogue that is going on out there. Some are really, really progressive about it, some maybe not so much. Okay, so help things happen instead of making things happen. We've said this before. So take, for example, there's an impediment. You don't want to jump in and remove that impediment for them. You don't want to be a mommy for them. You want them to try and do things themselves so that they can mature. But there will be times when you have to step in as a Scrum Master to then help them with whatever they need to, that they need help with. I can't see this properly. What does that say? Can you read the last line there? Knows how to do what? How to use? I can't see it.
Light touch facilitation.
Thank you.
Light touch facilitation.
That's it. Light touch facilitation is really talking about the same thing as the sprint before, as the point before. It is to know when to step forward and when to step backward. That is really what that is telling you. Knowing when to, just keep it light and let them get on with it. Let them get on with it. It's so important. So important. So yeah, these are some of the things you need to remind yourself of as a Scrum Master. You're not a you are not a project manager. You're not there to manage people. You're there to help people grow. You're there to lead. You're there to facilitate. Okay. You're there to help them problem solve. You're there to help them become high performing. Okay. Not to do micromanagement. Okay. Any questions before we look at scaling? Any questions at all? We're going to look at scaling briefly. We still have about 30 minutes. Any questions? Yes, no? Any questions at all? Comments?
No, for me.
Okay, not for you. Is it all still coming together for everybody? Making more sense as we progress?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. Yes.
Okay, cool. Okay, let's talk about scaling. Now, I talked about how I mean, you can see this looks like a steep hill. And what that is trying to tell us is that scaling is not, it's not a walk in the park, so to speak. It's not a walk in the park. Now, Agile, if we go back to how Agile started with development teams. The development teams, they develop software. And there was always this, you know, epic failures of their deliverables at the end of 8 months, at the end of 18 months, or whatever the case may be. They've spent 1 year developing, and then they deliver this thing. It's still not to the, you know, to the highest quality. It is not to the, you know, to the delight of the customer. Of course, they will get frustrated. Of course, they will get frustrated. So they started looking at better ways of developing software. And that was how they went away to, you know, a resort, 17 people from different software environments. Now, it means that Agile, when Agile started, it started in teams. It started in, so the unit of Agile is an Agile team. Okay? It is an Agile team. But it has become so big. And sometimes you could have an organization with a huge team, you know, different teams. So it's about having small teams that can work well together over a short period of time and deliver something. Now that we have seen the benefit of this small team, we are now replicating it. So when you now have 20 teams, how do you coordinate them? And remember, we talked about feature teams, and sometimes we talk about component teams. So when you have component teams, the whole idea of integration even becomes more important. Because now we are saying, we are, you know, developing this bicycle. One person is doing the spoke. One person is doing the wheel. One person is doing the seat. We now have to come together at the end of our cycle to assemble all these parts. That's the integration. But in this instance, we're talking about software. How do we integrate this software into a, you know, a functionality or into a feature? Okay, so that is where scaling comes in. And when we talk about scaling, it's not always simply at the team level. Because if you look at an organization, you have the team, you have or the project, if you like, team or project, if you like, you have program, and then you have portfolio. 3 layers usually, okay? So when we now start talking about scaling, it could be that they are scaling from one small team to the entire IT department. Because maybe it was one small team that started scaling. Because one of the things that tends to happen in a transformation is to minimize risk. They will choose one project. And when they choose a project, that project must be a meaningful project. Maybe not a project with the highest risk, but also it must not be a project that doesn't add much value. You know, reasonable risk and reasonable value. So sometimes that is what happens. They now choose a team to take on that project using Scrum. This can go on for 6 months. When the rest of the organization now starts to see that, wow, this team is just churning out stuff. They are just churning out stuff. The decision makers will now be like, okay, it looks like this Agile thing is a good idea. Let us scale it to the entire IT department. So you could have scaling at that level. You could also have scaling enterprise-wide. Enterprise-wide, in which case marketing, finance, human resource, all the layers of the organization, all the business segments are involved in this scaling, okay? So we need to really take a systems view, a holistic view to that transformation. So at that point, you're not even just talking about scaling anymore, you're talking about transformation, okay? So at that level, we're looking at the entire organization, we're looking at quality, we're looking at change, we're looking at risk. We're looking at everything when we're scaling Scrum. Everything. How can we better manage things organization-wide? How can we continuously align with business justification organization-wide? How can we maintain quality? How can we, you know, step up on change management, on ensuring that we are responding to change organization-wide? And this is where, in a transformation, they use Agile coaches and consultants to make sure that that alignment can be achieved, to make sure that as the changes are coming, we have created a system, a structure, and the right practices and mindset to ensure that happens quickly, okay? So at the team level, so take for example, this will be the team level where you have all those teams, Scrum team A, B, C, D, and all that. That will be the team or project level. The second level would be like your program level. And then the third level would be like your portfolio level. So this is sort of the picture: team level, program level, portfolio level. Now, at the team level, you will then have either you have one person. Let me not say, let me put it this way. One person comes from all the teams. So take, for example, you have 10 teams. It means at this level, we're going to have 10 people in a scrum of scrums, because one person each, a representative will come from each of the teams to now have what we call scrum of scrum. At this point, what are we doing? We are coordinating. We are coordinating. We are making sure that there's alignment, okay? We are making sure that there's alignment. We are making sure that we are all working towards the same goal properly. We are making sure that our dependencies at the individual team level are being paid attention to, okay? Now, with this picture here, bear with me. Where's my annotation? I don't know why I can't see mine. Bear with me. No, that's not what I want to do. Anyway, no problem. And I saw it the other day, but now I can't see it. There's usually, never mind. There's usually a pen with which I can annotate. And I can't see it. It's a feature in Zoom. But sometimes I see it, sometimes I don't, which I find very, very strange. I saw it the other day, but now I cannot see it. I was going to do an annotation on my slide. No, I cannot see it. I do not know why. Okay, never mind. Okay, so at the program level, imagine having a backlog at the program level. Okay, you have a backlog at the program level that is feeding the backlogs. Now I'm using plural. You have a backlog at the program level that is feeding the backlogs at the team level. So at the program level, you have what we call a chief scrum master and a chief product owner at that level. Now, this kind of scaling is called large scale scrum, less. It's called less, large scale scrum. You have a bigger backlog. So that backlog at the program level, as you would imagine, will just be epics most of the time, mostly epics, because this is now the program level. We are thinking big, most likely epics and features. So from that big backlog at the program level, we are now feeding the teams, okay? It is now going into their backlog. So we have a chief product owner and a chief scrum master at this level. Then we have a higher level of the executives, the decision makers, which is now the scrum of scrums. Mouthful, but that's what they call it. At this level, as you can see, the number of people going higher up is reducing now, because at the top level, they don't want details. They're not looking for details. At the top level, what they are really looking for ultimately is what is going to bring the ROI, the return on investment, and major, maybe market issues. That's what they want to pay attention to. So as we go up the hierarchy, less details, more focused discussions. Okay, what do they want to know at that level? They want to know that this whole thing, whatever it is they are delivering, is still on track. It will be delivered. They want to know that in terms of the value, yes, the market still needs that value. You know, things like that is what is discussed. And where there are major organizational impediments, these are also then communicated to the decision makers. Because remember, In a transformation, you need the buy-in of the decision makers, because they are the ones that make things happen. Okay, they are the influencers and they are the one with the money. Okay, so at this level, where you have organizational blockers, you are communicating that. So real serious issues that they need them to attend to is what comes to them at the top. And of course, information that they need to hear in order for them to continuously do their own work at that level. That is what happens. And this, in a nutshell, is what scaling is all about. Now, there are different scaling frameworks out there, but the most common one is, the most common ones are Scaled Agile Framework, which is called SAFe, and LESS, okay? Now, SAFe, let me go to the page because I've opened it. SAFe is crazy. Let me go to the page and share my screen. I opened it already. Okay, large scale, share my screen again. Okay, I'm sharing my screen now. Now, this is the home page for SAFe. This is the home page for SAFe. It is called Scaled Agile Framework, SAFe for short, and it is a template you can click. You can click. Now, I am SAFe 5.0 certified. I started with 4.5 and I have, upgraded. I upgraded this year, January, to 5.0. So I can also train people in SAFe within organizations, not as a paid program, as an external public program, because I'm not yet an SPCT, but I am an SPC. I'm a SAFe program consultant, not a SAFe program trainer. But I can train. So within a transformation, all the training that is required, that I have been enabled for, I can train within the organization. So a transformation is going on. They want to train the leaders. I can train them. A transformation is going on. They want to train the release train engineers, the product owners, the team members. I can do all of that within SAFe. Okay. Now, if you click on anything here, it will expand. As you can see, once I click on the overview, it will expand. If I click on essential SAFe, it will expand. Everything is click here. And there are different layers here. Okay, let me go back to the full SAFe. Now, let me make my screen smaller so that we can see the picture almost fully. I'm making it slightly smaller now. Now, this is the full picture of the Scaled Agile Framework, okay? We have the 7 pillars of agility here, and we have a whole lot that I'm not going to cover because I will just confuse you, okay? But what I want you to know is that Scaled Agile Framework is a scaling framework. It is a framework to help organizations coordinate their transformation. It is a framework to help organizations coordinate their transformation, because now we are not just talking about one small team doing Agile within an organization. We are not just talking about the IT department doing Agile within an organization. In this instance, we are saying we want the entire organization to be Agile. We want agility for the entire organization. So now we are talking business agility, organizational agility, enterprise agility, okay? Strategy agility, okay? So how do we coordinate it? It is in fact, it is huge. To say an organization is transforming is a huge undertaking. And if it is not well, organized, not well coordinated, a lot of money will go to waste and you will not have the outcomes you're looking for. However, in the community, in the other communities, a lot of people will tell you they don't like SAFe. And I can understand why they don't like it. A lot of people will tell you it is too cumbersome. It is this, it is that. It is trying to maintain hierarchy. Some people will tell you they don't like it because it is trying to maintain hierarchy. Why? Because if you look at it, it has the essential level, it has a large scale, it has a portfolio. So it comes as a hierarchical framework. It comes as a hierarchical framework. So you will find some people telling you, the SAFe is just trying to maintain the status quo. They want to do Agile, but they still want to maintain hierarchy. A lot of people will tell you this is anti-Agile. But I can also see why some people are doing this, why some organizations like it, because they probably need that because of the sensitivity of their environment. Okay? Some organizations like Ministry of Defense, they are using SAFE. A lot of public organizations are using SAFE because I guess a public institution can only be so flat. And this is where I defend SAFE. A public institution, for example, like the Ministry of Defense, can only be so flat. You cannot compare MOD with Facebook. You cannot compare MOD with Google. I hope I'm making sense. So I can understand why this framework has emerged to help coordinate a transformation in those kind of environments especially. So this is what I say when I'm interviewed and they say, what is my view on SAFE? I say, well, I believe it has its benefits for organizations that feel this is how they must operate, that they feel, you know what, they can't be that flat. So if they cannot be that flat, then maybe SAFE works for them. That's number one. Number two, are you going to go into an organization as an agilist and recommend a particular framework? No, even in a public environment, no. The framework that will be used will depend on the analysis that has been done, okay? Your situational analysis. So based on the analysis that has been done, then a decision is made on the best framework to use to scale, okay? So it can be any framework. There's SAFE, there's large scale Scrum, there's another one called DAD, the disciplined agile something, okay? But you don't go into an organization and become prescriptive about an agile framework or even a scaling framework for that matter. Context should determine that, and that is how you should answer those kind of questions. That I will not go in and advocate for a particular framework. What emerges as the best framework to use should be based on the context of the transformation, should be based on the context of the organization and what needs to be done. That's number one. Now, within Scaled Agile framework, different frameworks are part of it. So for example, at the team level, where you have so many teams, some team may be using Kanban, another team may be using XP, another team may be using Scrum. So it's not as if they are all using Scrum or they are all using Kanban or they are all using XP. Based on what the team is trying to do, they also will decide which framework works best for them. So some teams might say, you know what, we are mostly doing BAU, BAU meaning business as usual. And because we are doing business as usual, we are going to use Kanban. Another one says, well, we are developing software and Scrum works better for us or XP works better for us, and that is what we're going to use, okay? So that is what happens with SAFE. When you click on any of these, take for example, you click on Enterprise, it takes you into the detail of what enterprise is all about within, you know, this framework. How do we help at the enterprise level? What do we mean? What are we talking about at the enterprise level? Who is taking responsibility for what? What kind of backlog? How are we working the backlog at the enterprise level? At the enterprise level, we have a backlog, but it's just a Kanban backlog, okay? Because we also need visibility at that level of the epics, you know, the big initiatives that the organization will be working on. So that is, I think, enough of SAFE. Let me click on less framework and share that one. So actually, if I do sharing of my screen, that should share any screen I go to. So stop sharing, share my screen instead, and that should show less. Okay, now this is the large scale Scrum. Again, this is a framework to scale only Scrum. As you can see, large scale Scrum. This is scaling only Scrum. So you go into an organization, they are all doing Scrum and you want to scale Scrum, okay? So this is Scrum at scale, okay? And again, another thing I love about being in the Agile community, there's so much information out there. There's so much information out there. If you click on any of this, you can read about it, okay? And this is where the whole concept of, you know, chief product owner, chief scrum master comes in, and you are having, you know, you are having meetings to ensure there's alignment, to ensure that dependencies are well managed, okay? Now, even with SAFE and less, there's nothing that says you must do it the same way you did it for organization A, you must do for organization B, C, and D. No. In that context, you look at what works best using what is available through the framework to decide on what works best. And again, it is not necessarily your decision as a Scrum Master. It is a collaborative decision. Because remember, if you come into an organization, there's a tendency that you have come in externally to meet people who have already been working together for a while and who understand the organization better than you do. So you really need to listen to them and help facilitate those meetings and those interactions, okay? In order for them to make the right choices that would work for them based on their context. So again, if you want to know about LESS, there's a certification for LESS. It's about £2,000, I think. There's a certification for SAFE. It's about £3,000. They are not cheap. But at this level, just have an overview. It's enough. An overview. By the time you want to get to the level I'm also aspiring to continue to get good at, you want to invest in all of these things. I did my SAFE 2 years ago. It cost me about £3,000. It's not cheap. So yeah, there you go. So that is it about, let me go back to my slide. I'm sharing my slide now. Can you see my slide now?
Mary.
Yeah.
How does this SAFE compare to program management and portfolio management?
Let me see, what do I have here? Just a minute. Okay. Now, program management is your chief product owner level and your chief Scrum Master level. And this is where, what is a program? A program is a collection of projects, isn't it? A program is a collection of projects. That is what it is. So at the program level, you are coordinating projects. That is what we've done traditionally.
That
so
projects
now,
that do the same, that point to the same objective.
Say that again.
It's a collection of projects that point to the same objective.
Of course, it has to be. Definitely. Program, different projects working towards a higher goal. That's it. So at this level, at the program level, you are coordinating projects. Okay? At the project level, you are managing projects. So you have a project manager. I'm even going back to traditional now. At the project level, you have a project manager called, managing the project and reporting to the program manager, right? Because the program manager is coordinating projects that are integrated to solve a solution, to provide a solution at the program level. And then you could not even have multiple programs. So now I'm talking about 3 layers. Project feed into program. And you may have programs feeding into portfolio. Yeah? Now, in an agile environment, we have agile teams contributing into that program level now, which we are now calling large solutions sometimes. Let me go into the thing. Here we now have essential. Actually, let me go to the actual. I'm sharing the SAFE screen again. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. Now, can you see essential here? This is where you have the teams. Where you have essential, that is where you have the teams. This is traditionally your project management environment. Okay? And these projects can then come together to form a larger solution, which is now like your program level, traditionally. Okay? Now, you can have different solutions that fit into a portfolio. So let's use in building a house to explain this. At this level, we have some teams that are building flats. We have some that are building bungalows. We have some that are building detached houses and semi-detached houses. At this level, we have different solutions. So one solution is we want bungalow. Another solution is that we want semi-detached houses. Another is that we have detached houses. Think of those solutions like that. So we feed from the project level, the team level, we feed into those solutions. And those solutions then feed into the portfolio. It's just the same thing. They just named it differently, but of course the portfolio remains the portfolio. Okay? So SAFE is talking about essential SAFE. large solution, and then portfolio. Let me see. That's the. Just bear with me. You see, you can collapse that. So what happens with SAFE is that some people don't need the full SAFE because they are not doing full transformation. Some don't even need the portfolio. Some only need the large solution. Can you see that? Once I click on that, the picture reduces. And then some are just at this level, which is just the essential level. Can you see that? This is the most basic configuration of the SAFE framework. This is the most basic configuration of the SAFE framework, where you have agile teams that now form what we call an agile release train. Okay, I don't want to confuse you, but I guess I can mention that we call it ARTS, agile release train. So we have so many teams forming one big team called an agile release train, because that agile release train is trying to develop a solution, is working towards integrating all those teams. So we have maybe like 10 teams. I do something, you do something, we integrate. When we integrate, we provide a solution. We do a demo, just like we've done a demo for our sprint review. So at this level, you have several teams working 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks, 2 weeks. So at the end of every 2 weeks, they integrate, they do their system demo. And then at the end of 3 months, they do a bigger demo. Okay? So the reason they are doing those 2 weeks demo is to make sure that if there are any issues, they can be resolved on time. But at the end of the 3 months period, they do a bigger integration. So this is why you will see some adverts saying SAFE Scrum Master. SAFE Scrum Master, not just Scrum Master, SAFE Scrum Master. Okay, because there's some slight things extra that is required to be known by a Scrum Master if you are a SAFE Scrum Master. Okay, not a lot, but
Thank you. That's really
important to know. Okay, cool. So I will send the links to you. Large scale Scrum, Scaled Agile Framework. Sunday afternoon with a cup of tea, you might just start exploring these frameworks. Why not? Why not? Okay, so let me go back to my slides. I think we're almost done now. So let's look at SAFE in terms of pros and cons. I hope you can still see my screen. So I'm looking at the pros and cons for SAFE now, if you can see my screen. Now, it's a proven framework. It's very popular in the market. It is very, very popular. And they are constantly updating it. Like I said, I started as a 4.5, now I'm a 5.0. It doesn't come cheap. And even to be a part of their community, I have to pay £900 every year, which I find irritating, but you know, that's how it is. It is people-centric. It has a people-centric view on agile delivery with clear roles, artifacts, and events. There are several roles in there. Like I just said, you have the art. And agile release train is made up of several agile teams. And then you also have what we call a release train engineer. In the normal agile environment, that release train engineer is like a scrum master, but a scrum master at the program level. A scrum master at the program level is called an RTE in a SAFE environment. It is holistic. It has all the 3 tiers. It has strong code quality. It emphasizes technical excellence. So for example, DevOps culture, it really promotes DevOps culture so that they can have continuous integration and continuous deployment. It is an established framework in the market, absolutely. Organizations are paying millions to have this framework, implementation. And there's constant refinement of SAFE knowledge, like I just said, and I paid almost £800 to do that every year. So anyway, but one of the negative side that people complain about, they say it is prescriptive. They say it is heavyweight, and it is heavyweight. I mean, come on, look at the framework I just showed you. In fact, let me go back. It is crazy, honestly, it is crazy. Let me just go back. Hopefully you can still see my screen. Can you see the SAFE framework now? Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Now I'm back to the SAFE framework. Everything, and I mean everything here is a link. If I click on Epic, look at that. Look at what it's showing me. information about Epic in this environment, your Epic one pager and your Epic owner, your MVP cost, how to do budgeting, because now we are talking enterprise. It's huge, it's heavy. So I click on that. Even while I'm here, sometimes I may see another link that I click on. So take, for example, here, it's talking about architectural runway. Architectural runway is to say, have we thought far enough about the environment that we need in terms of everything that we need to actually run this release, to run for the next 3 months? Have we done that? That's architectural runway. Lean portfolio management is to do with governance, is to do with budgeting and priorities. If I click on that, it takes me somewhere. If I click on this, it takes, so it's like, what do you call it? Going into, is it a maze we call it? It's like going into a maze. You turn, you see another maze. You turn, you see another maze. And that is why they pay people well for these things, because it is not easy. So it is huge. So when you hear people complaining that SAFe is heavyweight, they are not lying. It is heavyweight. So everything.
Let me just ask you.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay, so you've talked about the different layers in SAFe, right? And yes, it looks very heavy. But at what stage do you need to get involved with the heaviness of it? For example, if developers within the essential teams, how much knowledge do they need to know in terms of covering the whole portfolio?
Fantastic question.
You know, so how I want to put my question right. How is the levels like, and what is expected? What expected knowledge is at every level?
Fantastic question.
I'm really thinking about those in the essential stage.
Fantastic question. No one person is required to be able to do everything here. No, it's not possible. That's why it's a framework that embodies several practices, like I said earlier. And I said, if you want to take your Agile journey further, you want to be an Agile coach, you want to be an Agile enterprise transformation coach, then these things become important to you. For example, someone like me, I know everything that is on this framework, but still I know it and I can teach it. But for example, I'm not an RTE engineer. So in this framework, there are different roles, a lot of roles that even I cannot play. For example, at the portfolio level, it is the executives that are there. It is the executives, the decision makers that are at the portfolio level. But I am an SPT and a coach that is facilitating them to help them use this framework to deliver. And to help the transformation to become successful. That is at the enterprise portfolio level. Now, at the essential level, this is where you have your developer, your tester in the teams. You have your developer, you have your tester, you have your Agile coach who is helping them coordinate this. Agile coach, and an Agile coach that has an SPT, okay? A coach that has SPT. Sometimes you are called to do both. So at this level, a coach is at this level, a coach is at any level. If you are an enterprise coach, you operate at the team level, program level, enterprise level, okay? Now, as a Scrum Master, you are operating at the essential level. Now, what is important here, as you can see, can you see design thinking there?
Yeah.
Can you see that? Customer centricity. If I click on it, it takes me somewhere. It tells me everything we need to know about customer centricity. As a Scrum Master, remember design thinking meeting. We did it here.
Yeah.
We are facilitating that. As a Scrum Master, we have several teams. Here, we could have 10 teams, we could have 15 teams, whatever the case may be. You are doing everything a Scrum Master will do with that team. Okay? Now, if you look closely again, there's something called PI planning. It's quite small. Now, I think I can make it bigger now. Bear with me. Let me make it 100%. Okay. Now, if you look closely, you will see that at intervals, there's a pillar. It's called PI planning, PI planning, PI planning. This is happening every 3 months in a safe environment. In any environment, I mean, we plan quarterly. Now, in a safe environment, it is called PI planning. So as a Scrum Master, you are helping the team to prepare for the PI planning. So at this level, you, the Scrum Master, with the product owner, we have a product owner at this level, you are helping, you are coordinating, beg your pardon, you are coordinating with the program level on what needs to be done next, which is at the PI planning level point. So you are coordinating with the, should I call like a chief product owner now? You are coordinating with these people at the program level on what needs to be done at the next quarter. So you are helping the team, you are helping the product owner to get that backlog ready, to identify dependencies with other teams, because when we meet, it is usually a big meeting. This PI planning meeting is usually a big meeting. The whole point of this meeting traditionally, because it was face-to-face, in fact, it was such a big meeting that if you were in India and this meeting was happening in Phoenix, you traveled to Phoenix. It was a big hall meeting where you could have like 400-500 people sometimes. And all the teams are sitting together, and as we're having dependent, and even the decision makers are there, so that, because the whole point of that face-to-face, and if you remember, it is emphasized in the Agile principles and values and manifesto that we prefer face-to-face conversation. But now COVID has forced us to do otherwise. Now, what used to happen here is that as soon as we identify a huge impediment that we want the decision makers, the executives to remove for us, they are right there with us. So we immediately take that problem to them to say, hey, Mr. Executive, this is a huge problem we want you to help us attend to. This is the urgency, whatever. So everything you need, the dependencies, the people you need to talk to, you are doing it right there. The reason this was a thing is that, or well, it still is a thing, but it's now been done in a distributed way, is that sometimes, I mean, when we talk about impediments can be a pain. And you are pursuing people, you are writing email, you are doing this, you are doing that, and then before you know it, a deadline has been missed. So having this face-to-face opportunity is to have that face-to-face conversation and, you know, to talk about everything you need to talk about as much as possible before the new quarter starts. And then we plan. And then it's also a huge planning that involves what we are going to do as an organization and what we cannot do. Okay. And this is where we talk about the go, no go terminology. So what can we do? What should we be doing? So this is where you have your must have, should have, and could have. With regards to value, so we are thinking together as an organization at our PI planning to say, what are our priorities? What are the things that add value to us as an organization? And once we end our PI planning, we all go away with some level of confidence to say, you know what, yes, we can deliver. These are the things we need to be working on for the next three months. And this is our commitment to it as a team. The other team too will say this is their commitment and they are comfortable with their commitment. And everybody goes away and start getting on with their sprint, with their two week sprint. And every 2 weeks, they are integrating to see what issues they need to deal with in terms of dependency. And then just before the end of the 3 months, they integrate on a larger scale to make sure that feature is ready for delivery or for release.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
This is strategic thinking. This is just to give the opportunity for Scrum Masters to see the big picture as well. It's also what you were talking about with the slicing. So this is slicing at a higher level.
Thank you.
So we're feeding into higher slicing culture here. Yeah.
Big picture. Big picture. So you know what we all know what we are working to, and we are making a commitment to one another. Hey guys, this is the big planning room. This is what we are delivering, and we are confident we can deliver it, or we are not confident. If we are not confident, we then negotiate with you. This is the opportunity to negotiate with the other teams to say, that thing, I know you people think it can be ready at some time, but it can't. So how can we work around that together? Whatever the conversation may be, this is an opportunity to really have that conversation in your PI planning. And it is happening remotely now. It is happening remotely now. Now, as you can see, there's Kanban here. You can see product owner, Scrum Master, okay? Product owner, Scrum Master. Now, at the program level, which they have sort of incorporated with the essential, because what has happened now, before we had program level, but they now merged it with one release train into the essential. So you have the systems engineer, you have the release train engineer, and then you have the product management, okay? And this is why design thinking is so important. Imagine you have so many teams coming together to deliver something. We must have some kind of cadence. We must have a shared understanding of what needs to happen and end up with a backlog. And that backlog is now what is feeding all the teams, okay? So let me not overwhelm you with SAFe, but you know, it's there, and it is quite popular out there. You can see there's also XP here. So some teams could be using XP, another team could be using Kanban, another one is using Scrum, and as you can see, there's a program backlog here. So this program backlog is the one feeding the team backlog. Okay, so at this level, the product owner is operating at this level, the product manager is operating at this level. Okay, and we are working with design thinking as a way of working so that we can really, really put the customer front, you know, back, left, right, put the customer at the center. Okay, and we have business owners, because the business owners are the ones we are ultimately working for as a technology, as a technical team. We are trying to deliver business objectives. We are using technology to enable that to happen. So we are constantly working with business owners. It is all there. Anything you click here, I tell you, it takes you to some kind of dungeon. Trust me, information dungeon. So let's come out of here. Let's see what I have left on my slide. Okay, so heavyweight and certification centric. I just told you, you have to spend like 3,000 pounds. They are making money, and they are also keeping you in some kind of community that you need about 800 pounds a year to be a member of. So yeah, it's certification centric, very, very certification centric. So those are some of the issues with SAFe. So yeah, there you go. And I've talked about less already. We've talked about all of that. So yeah, that's it really. We look at all the aspects. When we're working at scale, we're constantly looking at risk. Every 2 weeks, we are looking at risk as we are working on our sprints, as we're getting our sprint backlog ready during our sprint planning. We're looking at quality, we're looking at risk, we're looking at everything. We're making sure that everything we're doing still adds value. And of course, when we're talking at scale, communication can be a problem. So as a Scrum Master, you really want to pay attention to that. Information radiation is important. Keeping stakeholders informed is important. And as a Scrum Master, you want to take the lead here. So communication issues can very easily come up, very easily, because now it's not just a small team. We're talking about multiple teams. And this is where your Scrum of Scrum comes in. And of course, during the Scrum of Scrums, we just need, we need somebody to step forward to attend the Scrum of Scrum meetings. Okay, we don't need the whole team to go there. Your meetings will become unmanageable when you have too many people in your meeting. So, but it doesn't always have to be the Scrum Master. It doesn't always have to be the Scrum. It can be anybody from the team. Okay, it can be the Scrum Master. It can be anybody from the team, as long as you're able to attend that meeting and represent the team properly in terms of the needs of the team and come back with information that will be useful to the team in terms of their development. That is all that matters. And to wrap up today, when you're thinking Agile, you're thinking teams, you're thinking ordered backlog, you're thinking working software. These three items, or should I say aspects, is what makes Agile work. What really, really makes Agile work. A great team. When we talk about a great team, it's about everything we've talked about already. A team that can, engage in difficult conversations, a team that is working towards high performance, a team that can collaborate, a team that can help one another, a team, that can have radical candor. If you can have that, then you can almost achieve anything. Anything. It's like a husband and wife scenario. If you work well together as husband and wife, you can achieve amazing things. You will achieve so much. Two people achieve so much. How much more a team of 5, 6, 7, 8? But it's all in the collaboration. It's all in the shared understanding and having a common vision. You need a backlog in this environment, an ordered backlog. As a Scrum Master, you're constantly helping the product owner to make sure your backlog is not just, it's like opening your wardrobe and your clothes are just jaga jaga everywhere. If you want to go out, it becomes a problem. But if your wardrobe is tidy, you look at it, okay, this blue suit, okay, that's the yellow dress. It becomes easy for you to make a choice on what to wear and get dressed. Okay? The same for the backlog. Once it is tidy, we know we have our small stories at the top. We have ordered it. We know they are the stories that we're going to work on next. We have estimated it. We understand it. It meets the definition of ready. And we are working as a team to deliver that working software every sprint as much as possible. This is where I'm going to end today. This is where I'm going to end today. So in ending today, product owner, let us know via the WhatsApp chat after this session. Let us know what the next epic you want us to work on, and what your sprint goals are. Let us know via the our collaborative tool. Then once you have communicated that, everybody please create your 2 stories under the epic the product owner is going to assign. Create your 2 epics, and for each epic, create 5 stories. Assign it to yourself, estimate it, use 1, 2, or 3. Don't make it too big, okay? And I'm sure you noticed the last time our velocity was 34. This time our velocity was 45. If we add the 2 together, that will give us our average, okay? Please make sure your stories and tasks are ready by the time we meet tomorrow at 7 p.m. Keep it simple. Tunde's story, Sylvia's story, your task. And the task, creates the first task, assign it to yourself, and just duplicate it to make life easy for yourself. Like I have said before, I'm not interested in the content. I'm interested in that you understand the process, because that is what they need you for out there. They don't need you to be a developer. They need you to be a fantastic Scrum Master, okay? Dele, you are going to be our new Scrum Master. So, Doddy, we have sacked you. Dele is our new Scrum Master.
What? Daddy, you're not
I've been sacked. Oh my God.
I'm joking.
I'm not sacked you.
So Dele is our Scrum Master. So Dele, tomorrow during the session, you will create the release and you will create the sprint during our session tomorrow.
What does that mean?
I will show you tomorrow. Don't worry. I will show you. I will guide you to do it. I want us to start using the tool to do these things ourselves. I've done it twice now, so let somebody else do it. And the sprint review, it will be Dele and Shola. So what's Deji and
Dele again?
Yes, now it will be you and Shola that will do the review. Okay, and then next one, somebody else will be the Scrum Master, and then with somebody else they will do the review. Okay, let's go forward like that. Okay, don't you want to be a Scrum Master, Dele?
Why not?
Exactly.
Why not?
Exactly. So this is what's going to happen. So please, I really need you to, product owner, please let us know the epic that's of value to you, so that, and your sprint goals, and as soon as possible, so that people can then start creating their stories and tasks under this epic. So please create your stories, create your tasks, and make sure they are ready by 7 o'clock tomorrow when we meet, please. And this is where I think we should stop. Any questions? Let me stop recording. Any questions at all? Any concerns?
Mary, I put the story. The